It's your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another double spin episode. I haven't done one of these in a long time. This is the first time Reggie Middleton was on my channel, talked about patents, and just gives you a rewind into his foray into creating Veritasium. And so I hope you guys enjoy this. I'm sure it's going to be very entertaining going back and see all of this that we talked about 2018. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. I'm out of here. Holla! So I kind of see the IP part of it kind of being a huge barrier to entry then, since, kind of you explaining the three layers in which competition would have to get past. Yeah, I mean, that if you can get those patent pending IPs going, then that's really going to give you leverage, in my opinion.
My intention is to do business everywhere, to do business legally, and to comply with each and every necessary regulation and law that is put before me.
If you want to see more videos and interviews like this from influential people in tech, finance, and sports, subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the bell to be alerted. And go a step further and join the YouTube and membership area for early releases of videos like this. I'm out of here. Ha! Ladies and gentlemen, I have my man Reggie Middleton from Veritasium. Reggie, glad to finally get you on here. You said you owed me an interview, and I think it's an appropriate time for us to finally talk. How are you today, man?
I'm fine. Fine.
Good. So what initiated this interview or talk was this a lot of FUD, or not FUD, but just rumors going around on the internet regarding a possible Kevin OLeary partnership. And I guess your team saw it, and so we kind of, did this interview to clear up some things. But before we get into that, let's talk about you a little bit, Reggie. Your background. I know, you talk about valuations and paradigm shifts and stuff. So let's go back to 07, 08, when all of this kind of started to move. That new paradigm was created. Tell us about that time period and how you kind of predicted Bear Stearns and Lehman and all that good stuff.
Well, for me, it started before then, but towards my public appearances, it started in 2007. I used to be a real estate investor, and I bought property in downtown Brooklyn. For anybody in New York who's familiar with the area, it gentrified. And on top of gentrification, you had loose credit. And then on top of loose credit, you had very loose credit. On top of that, you had a credit bubble. So you mixed all that stuff together and you had some very strong performance. So, I enjoyed putting in a little bit of money and getting a lot back out. But then the math started getting awry. 2 plus 2 started to equal like 196. And as we all know, it's not 196. I'm not even that good at advanced math, but it's not 196. No matter what it is, it's not
right.
that. So I decided I'd sell it off, and the goal was to create a portfolio for legacy building, family in the future. But the math that was askew just wasn't my flavor of investing. So I decided to sell it off, and then upon selling it off, I said, I want to open a hedge fund and short anybody who's ever did business. So the hedge fund didn't work out because you had a hedge fund bubble that was busting at that time. Basically, the better you did at returns, the more people want to take money out of your fund because they had to go somewhere else. So that's not a strong incentive to do well. So at the same time, in the States, you can't market a hedge fund directly, at least at the time you couldn't. So I thought I'd market myself because I was a relative unknown. I taught differently from the other hedge fund managers. I didn't go to Harvard Business School. I didn't work on a Goldman Sachs prop desk. So I put my ideas out on initially Neil Rudini's blog, another fellow New Yorker, who also did fairly well during the crash. And then on my own, I opened Boom Bust blog. I hired a team of my own analysts because I couldn't trust sell-side research. The main analyst is still with me now, 11 years later, Manish Kapoor. You can see him on the Veritasium team page on the website. And we created reports using forensic analysis of fundamentals. We counted. So we insisted that 2 plus 2 equaled 4 and not 196 or anything as such. We called the fall of Bear Stearns months in advance, and Lehman Brothers months in advance. General Growth Properties, which was the second largest retail REIT in the country at the time. Washington Mutual, Countrywide, Apple's debt, Google's pop, boom, the collapse of Research in Motion, BlackBerry, the European sovereign debt crisis, basically about 86 to 90 something calls over that
Wow.
now 11-year period. But I stopped in 2014 because I caught the Bitcoin bug. For 2 years, I had clients who were asking me to look into Bitcoin. So I didn't do it in 2012. I should have, right? I didn't do it in 2013. I should have again, but I didn't. And in 2014, I did do it. I read the wiki, the Bitcoin wiki, and my jaw dropped. I'm looking over my shoulder like, anybody else see this?
Yeah.
So it was actually too good to be true. You had basically self-sovereign currency that didn't need a central bank or money center banks, had its own transportation rails, had a transparent self-auditing database called the blockchain that was heretofore unhacked. And, it's almost too good to be true. So I did some research. And it was programmable and scriptable at that point. So I did some research to make sure it was legit because I didn't believe it. It was. I dropped the entire advisory business. Boombus blog was the first blog that I know of that was able to charge a subscription for services, by the way. And it made money from the first year I started to the year I wound it down. And from that point on, I was full digital asset and smart contract startup. Started in December 2013, incorporated in 2014. I filed patents in every major financial jurisdiction, US, EU, UK, China, and Japan. And those are still in the process of being prosecuted, but I did file those before almost all the big boys, at least in terms of capital markets application of blockchain tech. I was the first to create and settle a digital swap, did that in December 2013. The first to get smart contracts application in public beta for everybody to use in 2014. And we then moved from the Bitcoin blockchain to the Ethereum blockchain because Bitcoin, due to its political issues.
What was the name of the project that you had on the Bitcoin platform, the blockchain? Because I remember you were doing a lot of videos back then about it. What was it called?
Initially, it was called UltraCoin. Yeah. But there was a altcoin that had the same name, so I rebranded so there wouldn't be any confusion. Yeah. Rebranded to Veritaseum. We didn't have a coin at the time. It was just marketing moniker for the application. And then towards the latter part of 2014, it was known as Veritaseum. And we moved from Bitcoin to Ethereum platforms, and from Ethereum, we re-architected it because, of course, Ethereum is significantly different from Bitcoin. And then that's when you have the Vader, which was launched latter part of last year as a full public beta, a private beta. And we also had a token offering, which is a sale of our products and services fees, prepaid fees for our products and services. That was April last year. Okay.
So I want to just make a note and just let the audience know, man, you are always ahead of the curve, because I remember watching you, because I got into Bitcoin 2013, late 12. And I remember watching your YouTube videos, and I'm like, at that point, and you'll remember this, at that point, there was no real talk or concepts being thrown around about programmable actual utility of this Bitcoin, these coins. It was all about the coins back then. All these altcoins were coming out, and it was just who had the best altcoin with this amount of supply and so on and so forth. So you were very kind of forward thinking back then, way back then, with this whole actually doing something with the blockchain protocol.
That was good because that allowed me to get the patent applications in before most of it. It's a good thing.
yeah, absolutely. From that though, you got Veritaseum going. What do you think Wall Street thinks about this whole platform, man? To me, I think I had an epiphany the other day, and I finally realized that Veritaseum is going to take away business and eliminate a lot of the hedge fund business, book of business, right?
Not just hedge fund, asset management, investment banking, underwriting, significant. Basically, the wider the margin, the business in the financial industry, the richer the target, more juicy the target is for Veritaseum.
So
Basically, you have to earn your keep, and those who get overpaid don't earn their keep. That's why they call it overpaid, not just paid.
So, from my understanding, man, you are the first person that is actually disrupting Wall Street from that perspective.
Well, we'll see. I don't know if I'm actually disrupting just yet, but I think the time is nigh. Uh,
Yeah.
the beta is fully functional. You're still adding features to it, but it's running very, very smoothly. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to one of my coworkers, and the question was whether it scales or not. And technically, all my engineers say it would scale quite nicely. Now, the only way to find out if it scales is to throw 4,000 or 5,000 users and a couple of hundred simultaneous users in there, and see how it works. But we have it as a private beta. Actually, they didn't even want it as a private beta as well, so we have it as an internal beta. We are also launching operations outside of the U.S., and we're opening up everything that the regulators want us to have. So we've applied for a broker-dealer registration and license. We're in the process of doing that. We haven't said reply. We're in the process of applying. We're doing a bank that's onshore. We're about to launch that, and we're considering other venues as well. So in terms of the U.S., we're doing fully registered vehicles. Outside of the U.S., we'll do whatever it takes to comply with the regulatory agencies in each and every jurisdiction. Now, of course, things move much, much faster outside of the U.S. because the U.S. regulatory environment is murky at best. It's not clearly defined. And for a fast-moving, disruptive, innovative startup, it's not the best place to do business. But nonetheless, we're here, and we're going to do business here, and we're going to do business everywhere else as well. But expect things to move much faster and much more sharper outside of the U.S. As a matter of fact, you can expect jurisdictions outside of the U.S. to easily compete with U.S. Financial institutions simply because you don't have that regulatory hurdle that you do here.
So and I talked about this in one of my videos that I reported on, you kind of exposing or letting it be known publicly that shut down the beta. So you moving to or offshore, will you still be able to have U.S. citizens participate, or not really so much U.S. citizens, but companies that are within the U.S. borders, or will they be able to still utilize your platform?
Well, that's something I can't discuss right now. Okay. That goes to show you the amount of operating friction that there is operating in the U.S. But I don't want it to be misunderstood. It's not like I'm ever going to leave the U.S. I'm going to do whatever the regulators want. I just have to know what it is they do want, so I can comply. I'm planning on offering our services globally, worldwide, in every jurisdiction and in every socioeconomic stratus. So basically, from people who are at the lower rung of the ladder in terms of wealth and income, to those all the way at the top. One of the big problems I see is that I see a movement where those who probably benefit the most from using a product like this are the ones who will be most likely stripped of access to it. And, that's a shame, unfortunately. And I do understand the mantra of what it's done to protect those who may not be able to protect themselves, but it's not as simple as being an accredited investor or not an accredited investor, or whether you're located here or there. So we're a very clean operation, and I plan to do the best for everybody. I can't go into details, unfortunately, because it's not the best interest of the company. All discussions are private. But my intention is to do business everywhere, to do business legally, and to comply with each and every necessary regulation and law that is put before me.
Gotcha. So let's kind of start going through. You sent me over some screenshots here, and I have a few of them up on the screen now for the audience. Kind of just walk us through a few of these screenshots. So we have the initial loading screen here.
Okay. So what I did was I sent you a link to the Vader beta. And by the way, the beta is in latter stage. And there are many companies who wouldn't even call this a beta. They call it a release candidate or a finished product, to be truthful. because its primary functions have been in beta testing for months. It's working very smooth. We pulled out, every bug that we could think of that we found through other beta testers. And, I'm quite confident in it. What we've done was we created a link and we have a whitelist of users. So basically only Veritaseum employees and contractors are allowed to actually use the full functionality, but we have something called Spectator Mode, which allows everybody to look at what's going on from behind the scenes. Okay.
So you're going to be going live with the Spectator Mode today. Is that correct?
Actually, Spectator Mode has been live for a couple of weeks. So if you go to the link right now, you can see, everything that's going on. I'm personally going to go and run the Vader through its courses, run it through several exercises so people can see it in action. It's tour de force, and I'll go through that in detail a little later. So when you click that link that I gave you, you see that screen, which basically explains that it's only for Veritaseum internal members and contractors. You have to hire contractors now to help test because we want outside eyes to look at it. And once you click that, you can move forward. So let's see another link. Okay, and this is a look at the back end. This helps to address the rumor that was going forth. This is an administrative view, okay, and it shows Veritaseum Vader, which is basically that portfolio page with performance. It has the VE rent, which gives you the ability to either rent our tokens, which are prepaid fees to get in if you don't have access to Veri tokens, or you can rent the actual F if you don't have F, which do other tokens. That's been explained, in detail in previous videos. Just go to the YouTube channel. You have VE exposure. The VE exposure allows, if you have your own Veri tokens and your own capital in terms of F, you could go in and open your own exposures. Exposures are basically access to the Veritaseum research, okay, in real time. So suppose the Veritaseum research says you should buy a portfolio consisting of PayPal, Populous, EOS, and some other token, okay, in certain amount, certain percentages between X price and Y price. When you put your F in and you put your Veri token in, you A, get access to the research, and B, you can ask the Vader to purchase that portfolio on your behalf in those percentages and within those price ranges. And it builds a mini portfolio for you based upon our model portfolio, okay? And that's done automatically through smart contracts. And I would say in real time, but the attempt is made in quasi real time. Of course, it all depends upon market conditions, availability, spreads, liquidity, etc. Okay, so if you put that screen back up, I'll walk through the rest of it. Then now go back one. Okay, now you have VE Assets Management, which is the back end, and that allows you to manage the actual assets that are available to the Vader. Okay, now go to the you have token manager and portfolio management as well. Those are just other applications in the application suite. The Vader is an application suite for peer-to-peer capital markets. So think of Microsoft Office as the Vader, and think of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. as those different applications within the suite.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Now, if you go on to the next slide, screenshot, here you have the token, the asset management registry. And then you have where we could create, not only you can participate in exposure to native ERC20 tokens, which you have here because it's written on the Ethereum blockchain. So that is, say, PayPal, Populous, even Veri itself, if it was an investment, but it's not, of course. And a variety of, significant other Ethereum tokens, but we could also wrap tokens in the Veri wrapper, okay, and then have them trade or become available on the Ethereum blockchain. So here we have Veri real estate, where we take partial of real estate or real estate attribute or asset or related asset. We create ERC20 token out of it, and it's called a sub-Veri token. So Veri.real estate, Veri.gold, Veri.bitcoin, Veri.dash, and all these things could be traded through the Ethereum blockchain. Very.gold, I have a backlog of requests of entities who are looking to work for me. So they're African entities who are looking to basically veritize gold and diamond holdings. And that is, something that's in a totally different continent, but it's very interesting, both in raw and finished perspectives. We have Real Estate, so we have entities in the MENA region who've approached me, and they're looking to veritize their real estate holdings. And we're not talking small developers, we're talking very, very large developers from very wealthy countries, such as Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Dubai.
So speaking of Dubai, you just came back from there, and tell us a little bit about that whole event at the Ritz, correct?
Yeah, this at the Ritz-Carlton. I was a keynote speaker there and sat on a panel, and I was also a sponsor, and it went very well. You could see some of the videos on the website, and those are just videos that have just been pieced together. We actually did a full Veritaseum documentary there, as well as a 2-minute commercial. The 2-minute commercial draft should be available sometime today, I heard, and the full documentary maybe about a week and a half from now. We took about 30 hours of footage, 30 hours of footage over several days, and it should be very interesting. It's going to walk through Veritaseum in detail.
So one video I saw, man, again, I've never heard, I don't know if you're the first person to say this, but I've never heard anyone consider or define Bitcoin as a bearer asset. That was a unique take on Bitcoin. And when you said it, I'm like, it is a bearer asset.
In its purest form.
Yeah.
Bearer than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am very bearish, or I poo-poo services that take the bearer asset attribute from Bitcoin away. If you don't have it, it ain't yours. It's
right.
Just, but you have that IOU, hopefully to get what was yours back, which is why you should never give up anything that was yours in the first place. Yeah. What makes it difficult to understand Bitcoin as a bearer asset is, even though it is a bearer asset, you can easily send it away to other places. But you do that for purposes of transportation or commerce. You don't do it to store, because if you store your Bitcoin outside of your possession, then you probably delete one of the most powerful attributes of Bitcoin, and that is its bearer asset attribute. What makes Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many other digital assets unique is that you can bifurcate, trifurcate, and quadrificate. I'm making these up. Okay, the aspects of possession and ownership that were uniform and only held one or two aspects before this invention that we call blockchain tech. For instance, now you can separate possession, ownership, custody, and control, where before everything was one. And at best, you could take ownership and possession and separate them. So you can give a bank gold and put it in their vault. You have ownership, they have possession. Okay, now you can separate ownership, possession, control, and custody. So you could give somebody possession of assets, give somebody else control of those assets, give another party ownership of those assets, and then you could give a third party or fourth party custody. But that custody's definition is now, different than what it used to be, because you split up all those other attributes. So this is confusing to some, and I can tell you exactly who it is confusing to, but I don't want to go there. But once you're able to understand this, you're able to build much more powerful products and much more disruptive business models. And these business models, I think, will tear through the legacy financial system, for the best, for the better. You're going to bring down prices, you're going to reduce friction, you're going to increase productivity, and you're going to increase value in transactions. This is good. Now, it's not going to destroy all banks, but it will take those banks who refuse to increase their value proposition. It will put them in the grave, just like every other paradigm shift created business models that put those who refuse to improve in the grave. Do you remember that company called, was it Polaroid?
Polaroid, yeah, yeah,
If I'm not mistaken, they had a patent on the digital camera, if I'm not
yep.
mistaken, which eventually put them out of business because they refused to move
To
forward. They're still
license
trying to
it.
make money off of,
Yeah,
paper and film.
right, right. So to kind of get back, I wanted to go back to the whole Ritz thing, and kind of this was a major reason for us meeting today was to talk about this. Somehow, some way, someone found a Ritz token on the Ethereum blockchain, and so the
Is
conspiracy.
that beyond me? But
Yeah, that's crazy. So they started
yeah,
trying to put things together. They, again, I reported on it a few days ago, but they put the Kevin OLeary clip up, and then they're giving me all this stuff. I'm like, "Well, it looks very compelling. It definitely does. So kind of help
I
us
mean, it did.
understand.
It did look compelling. I looked at it. I'm like, oh, interesting coincidence. 1, 2, 3, 4, not bad. So I can't fault anybody.
Right, right.
There is one fault I can give. Number one, it's not true. I don't know Kevin OLeary. I'm not doing business with him.
Okay.
I'm not tokenizing or veritizing the Ritz-Carlton in New York. I can tell you how that came about. We were in Dubai. I had the entire management team, the entire main team of Veritaseum. I flew them all to Dubai from 3 different continents, Asia, Europe, and the US. And I had everybody stay at the Ritz-Carlton in Dubai. And so those who were not on the technical side didn't understand exactly how the back end of the app worked. If you could throw up one of the screenshots, the one that looks like a spreadsheet, I could show you how we actually design. Actually, this is the actual back end where I create these registries. And this is the designer, where you could design attributes. You could design tokens, and you could design them using a lot of attributes. And if you don't, not only can you design tokens that are off-chain, off the Ethereum blockchain, such as Zcash, Steemit, Monero, etc. You can design tokens for physical assets as well. And you put in the attributes, and then you could put in identification information, such as longitude, latitude, height, zip code, address. And then you can use formulas, because regular spreadsheet formulas for these strong financial analysts to create subtokens, varied subtokens that are extremely unique. For instance, I can take a building, such as the Ritz-Carlton, and I went through this example to show not only my coworkers, but there were a couple of other real estate developers and investors from the cash-rich areas of the region, from Dubai, from Saudi, from Bahrain, from Qatar, and they were very, very interested in creating varied real estate subtokens and wanted to see how it worked. So I went and created a quick subtoken for the Ritz-Carlton in Dubai, and I explained that you can veritize the leasehold underneath the building. You can veritize the actual land. You can veritize the building itself, as in the deed. You could veritize the management company that operated the building, as an ongoing concern. You could veritize the 1, 3, 5, 10, and 20-year cash flows for that building to match sovereign debt, such as the U.S. Treasury. And you can even veritize the air rights above the building, which can trade as a token and have less correlation to many other real estate assets. Now you have what was one purchase and you made 10 purchases out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have what was one asset and you made 10 assets out of it. And each one of those assets have a different risk-adjusted reward and profile, risk profile and asset profile. So you could sell, straight equity to one, you could sell capital appreciation to other, preferential tax treatment to a third. You can mix and match everything. So you could create, or you could sell a fixed income portion and income stream to a fourth or fifth. You could go to the 6th, 7th, and 8th buyers, and then you can mix and match. So you can mix air rights with 3-year income, 3-year cash flows. You can mix the capital appreciation with the management company's operating revenues. And now you create extremely customized, very distinct assets. You take one product, you make 10 products out of it, and you can mix and match and create things that are just unheard of. And you get instantaneous liquidity because the tokens can be sent very easily from one wallet to another. and it can actually trade on exchanges, whether decentralized or centralized. Now, those things in terms of doing in states, we're going to move probably a little slower than certain other areas, but they are doable in states, and we're pursuing things both in the states and outside the states around the world. Now, when I did this, you create this in the application in the back end. Let's go back to the back end, show the management screen, the black screen, the other one before this. Now, once you create it, right, you create it in the designer, which is the spreadsheet. You go back to the actual Vader, right? It's imported, and there's a lot of security, measures to make sure that bad guys don't get a hold of it. And then you click refresh, and the Vader actually spins off a smart contract token and throws it on the blockchain. And it's validated by Etherscan, and it's tradable. And I did that in real time to show everybody how the very.writs, I don't have the very.writs on there, but it's there. You have to scroll. I showed everybody how I created a very.writs token with certain attributes. One of the attributes that I explained, I didn't go through everything because it takes time to model it out. And that's what everybody found. The chances of them finding that close to zero, but someone found it anyway. And at the same time, or not at the same time, but I'd say maybe a day or two later, this guy shows up on CNBC and, has something similar.
Is it a coincidence?
Extreme coincidence. Plus, I've been talking about veritizing real estate for a while, and I believe we're the only ones who are really into this space. If you take a look at our technology, like the designer app that I showed you, that allows you to design extremely advanced tokens, calculating air rights with formulas, maybe 200, 300 characters long that can be compounded and nested, and using oracles to bounce actual real-time pricing, and then spinning on the blockchain and doing this in real time, and then having the Vader purchase these assets for buy-side institutions to participate on a large scale. We are not light years, we're like millenniums ahead of any competition, okay? From a technical perspective and from a financial analytical perspective that can apply this technology, I don't think there's anybody close. And we have a full analytical team. We have 5 analysts, and these analysts full-time go through, from a forensic and fundamental perspective, the risk-adjusted reward of all digital assets, including.
So let me be the contrarian to the contrarian.
Okay.
What is the barrier of entry? Is it really that high? Can a person like Kevin OLeary, he's got mad piles of cash, right? Can he go hire the best analysts from Wall Street, get the best coders, and spin up something, and kind of take market share or potential market share from you?
Okay. Well, let's think about barriers to entry. And I don't know Kevin OLeary, so I don't want to use him. I don't want to make it us versus them.
Right.
But there's a technology. Okay. I don't know of anybody who has apps such as this, right, with smooth user interfaces, the back end, the security. I just don't know anybody who spins up real estate tokens on the fly. The reason why anybody was able to find that is because I was able to spin it up in a couple of minutes as I was demonstrating to large, sovereign wealth funds and developers in the MENA region. I don't know the Middle East, but the MENA region. So there's the actual technology. You can't just do it in a couple of minutes, that's for sure. It took us, all in all, we started in 2013, 5 years. We started working on this maybe a year and a half ago. And we have a small team, no more than 7 developers, but very focused. If you go to the team page on Veritaseum website, you get to see the philosophy, how we get it done. And then there's potential, and they're not there yet because the applications, the patent applications, patents haven't been granted. But assuming they are granted, there's potential IP roadblocks. Okay, so let's suppose you can overcome the actual technology and the horsepower putting it up. Then let's suppose you can overcome any IP protection. Then there's actual, learning curves. Okay, to get developers know how to do this, to bring it up to speed, and get analysts who understand how to work with blockchain technology, the economics behind it, and its ambiguities and its eccentric attributes. It's not an easy thing to do. It took our analysts, I'd say, close to a year to come up to speed on this.
Okay, all right.
So all that together, don't hope.
Yeah,
So
yeah, the
maybe,
IP.
but if he does catch up, we won't be moving still. So it's still supposed to take 6 months to a year for him to get all this together. Hopefully in 6 months to a year, maybe even in a few weeks to a month, we'll have our first two or three, three or four, four or five major clients.
So I kind of see the IP part of it kind of being a huge barrier to entry. Then, since kind of you explaining the three layers in which competition would have to get past. So yeah, I mean that if you can get those patent pending IPs, going, then that's really going to give you leverage, in my opinion.
Yeah, and to be, from what I understand, I looked at the interview and for what he was explaining, what he's looking to do is relatively elementary.
Right.
He's only
It's like a over the counter. They're just they spin up a token and they sign some paperwork, and it's like
right.
that way. Right.
Yeah, it's real
the lawyers
simple.
Involved and all that.
Yeah. It's he's going to spend more money in regulatory paperwork than he is in the actual development, right. And he's only tokenizing a third of the hotel, so it's not a true tokenization. It's like a IPO for 20% of the company.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm not taking anything away from it. It's a good idea, but it's an idea I came up with 6 years ago.
Well, Kevin OLeary, you need to go ahead and call Reggie, and he'll make that happen for a fraction of the cost.
That'd be a good idea, actually. If you know Kevin, it'd be a very good idea.
No, okay. Crypto Blood doesn't know Kevin OLeary.
If he's going to do it, he needs to hurry up, because I have a strong feeling that some big pockets from outside the U.S. maybe even do it. But we're a technology platform and an intellectual property platform. So that's what we do.
So kind of moving on from that, what do you see? You're a macro guy, very intelligent macro guy. I know you see the mess going on in the equities and the bond markets. Yields are near or about to invert and all that stuff. Do you see that as a catalyst for, first, the cryptocurrency market as a whole to do very well in 2018 and going forward? And then secondly, a perfect storm scenario for Veritaseum, as far as the ability for individuals or companies on Wall Street to start coming to you because of liquidity issues, so on and so forth. So what do you see with that kind of perfect storm brewing?
I think buy-side institutions, buy-side clients will come to us if I succeed in educating. There's a old commercial from Sims, with a clothing company, which said our educated client is our best customer. And that's basically where we stand. We have a vastly superior product to what's available at a much lower cost, but it's not easy to understand, not because it's so complex, it's because it is so different from what everybody's used to. And if we succeed on that education curve, and if clarity comes to the regulatory environment, and then it's going to be full steam ahead, especially if what I think is going to happen comes to fore, and that's you're going to have a reversion in interest rates. Remember, Asia, and even more so Europe, issued significant bonds, both public and private, at a negative interest rate. Okay,
NERP, right? NERP.
Guaranteed, nasty, guaranteed. So, and not only did they issue them at negative interest rates, they issue long-term bonds. They have 75-year bonds that were issued at a negative interest rate. So you have extreme duration risk. All you need to do is for that interest rate to go slightly above zero.
Yep.
Just slightly above zero, those guys get wrecked. They get wrecked, you're going to have a chain effect. Now, it's going to be hurt. It's going to be nasty. But what you could do is you contain the damage just by not letting word get out. But sooner or later, certain small investors are going to follow, the bouncing ball. And it's happened a lot. Now, why would you lock up your money for 75 years with a guarantee that you won't get it all back? Who knows? But apparently enough people did it, it will make a difference.
And so with your platform, you're going to be able to allow people a flexible range on the Vader side, right?
Right, very flexible. As a matter of fact,
so they can go from 1 year to 99, right? Is that how it?
You could go from 1 minute to 99.9 years.
Oh, okay.
Of course, short durations don't really make sense in an investment product. That's for traders and The Vader is not a trader product; it's for investors.
Right.
But it goes to demonstrate the flexibility. We go also using that back end, and I show you design products. So you could design a product that goes to the inverse of the 75-year negative interest rate bond.
Nice. So,
Um,
so you can do collateral. What do you call those? CDO kind of like.
CLs
Or,
are more complex than need be. And the reason is because those who sold CLOs need to make money. Here's an underlying premise. The more complex on Wall Street makes money from transactions, okay? And acting as a principal. And so the more transparency there is in their business, the less profit they could shove in. So the less transparency or the more opacity in the transaction, the more profit they could shove in. Wall Street is compensation driven. It's the only industry in the world where the employees make more than the owners of the company. So their goal is to pack as much profit in as possible. So CLOs are very difficult to price and understand from a transparency perspective. Hence, there's a lot of profit in there. And there's a lot of risk because we don't understand what's in there. If you're driving, okay, and there's a hill and you go full speed over the top of the hill, you don't know what's on the other side. Mm-hmm. Going full speed over the top of the hill is a very big risk. Sooner or later, you're going to hurt yourself. So we give transparency. We bring it up to the top of the hill, give you a chance to look at the entire, terrain, and you have the opportunity to go down if you wish. That's our business model. We can do that because we don't profit from opacity, where Wall Street does. So instead of doing a CLO, we'd simply do a custom product in conjunction with a client, and we could price it as, I don't want to go through the details because depending on the jurisdiction, just a description could be held against me. But we can make, very unique products customized for one client, and then it can be sold to many other clients because it scales. This is a platform. So it's not like a consulting firm. You have to do everything over. Once you create something, you veritize it, and it can scale it ad nauseum. As you all know, we've been doing reports on token ICOs and digital assets. Mm-hmm. At the same time, been beefing up. As a matter of fact, this morning or last night, we just finished the Populous Redux. We did Populous before. A lot of it was well accepted. A lot of people thought it was well done. We've done it with a much more rigorous analysis because now I have more manpower. And that report, I think I sent you the early draft. Looks like it.
Yep, I've got the home, well, not the home page, but the cover page up on the screen now. I won't show the details of it. I think this is a paid report, correct?
Actually, you can. We're going to give this one out free.
Oh, okay.
It is going to be our marketing report. This one is actually a draft, so I think it's about 43 pages. There's another 15.
It's 43, 42 pages, correct.
So we're going to throw another 15 pages on it, which is information directly from the management. Okay.
Oh, excellent.
And did you get a chance to look through it?
I did. I looked through it, man, and honestly, I like the area where you kind of broke down the lending. I think this is. It was very detailed. I'm gonna go through it because, like I said, I got it two days ago or a day ago, so I didn't get a chance to go through the entire thing. But I think this area where you talk about populist competition. That was neat. And then you had these, I don't know if you call these swap analysis. What are these called? SWOT analysis? I don't know.
SWOT. Yeah, SWOT. Yeah.
Yeah, these are, this was interesting. I looked at that as well.
Okay, so stop right there. Okay, because the only thing that we're not going to give out for free is the actual valuation numbers. That's only for Very token holders.
I think that was redacted anyway in this one.
Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, that's a draft. We have coming over. We have the lead guy here. Actually, one of the lead guys.
Oh, that's the guy that was trying to arm wrestle you.
Yeah.
When I come to New York, I'm gonna arm wrestle you too.
I had reached out to you to contact us in the first place.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So he's onshore, finishing off the populace, and he was working hard on it. As soon as I get off of this, I'm going to go through the populace, and as long as it takes me to read it, I'm going to read it, and I'm going to launch it. Okay, download off the site. And this will be probably the most advanced analysis of any token or digital asset in the history of the business. So I can guarantee that.
This is what I like, man, because I feel like personally, 99.5% 5% of these tokens out here are grossly overvalued because there's no business. It's just vaporware. It's a white paper. It's a website. What is your overall kind of macro perspective on, not getting into specifics, but about the current token industry or community?
They're overpriced, and they're overpriced because you don't have a rigorous analysis in dealing with it. Most of these tokens are a bunch of developers, of developers and engineers that get together and they're creating software. Whether they're creating good software or bad software, it's actually not that relevant. They're not creating businesses, right? They're not creating ongoing concerns or assets. There's no diversity on the team. You basically have different types of developers and maybe one or two guys from outside the industry. That's guaranteed to be at best good software, and that's at best. Okay.
SaaS does have a good valuation, as far as, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. The valuations are normally higher when you're talking about a SaaS model, correct?
They may be higher, but how high is the valuation when you have a token trading for, say, $13 and you have no revenues, no business model, no patents, no patent pending, and non-diverse management staff consisting of just developers? Let's put it this way. Imagine if you had a whole bunch of traders, right? A whole bunch of traders, and you're going to create a business developing software. And all you have are traders, okay? How strong a development platform do you think that would be? By the way, none of these traders know how to develop. And if you go through here, we have Andrew here, who has a background, and he's a CFA, CPA, analyze and purchase real estate. On the corner here, might as well, Marilyn.
She's watching.
Okay. Okay. Marilyn's pretending she's working. Working in the corner. Okay.
Hey.
Marilyn's background is also very diverse. She's fresh before coming here, a month ago. She's an ex-vice president for financial crimes at SocGen. There you go, Patrick Droznick. He's a software engineer. On the right, you have Manish Kapoor. Patrick leads the tech team of 7. We're looking for tech guys. We have Manish Kapoor. He's a forensic accountant. You have Eleanor Reed. She's ex-McKinsey, ex-Goldman. You have Rona Johnson, right? She is a political liaison extraordinaire. Here you get to see Marilyn Shalom. By the way, there's an intro video and a lot of information under each and every person. The only one there is not Messiah, and Messiah is going up after I finish releasing the populist report. So I'm a little backed up. To show how backed up I am, for over a month, I've had 2 African entities who've been waiting for me to sign an agreement to move forward to use the Vader, to license the Vader in 2 different countries in Africa. I've been a bottleneck to that, and I'll fully admit it because I've been very busy. I promise them I'm going to get the MOUs signed today and the contracts signed ASAP, just for legal review. I've also agreed that I will start moving forward, at the same time I'm doing due diligence once I send the MOU. So, nice. There's much more potential business coming to the pipe than I'm prepared to deal with right now, simply because I'm looking to build a business.
Right.
Okay. So I'm not trying to grab the first bits of revenue. On that note, I don't think anybody should make decisions based upon rumors, but,
right.
If I were a fly on the wall, I would think that the rumors don't, come close to betraying, the potential that we have. But I don't speak publicly about private negotiations.
Right.
Bad for business, and it's actually disrespectful to your business partners.
Right. Excellent. So, do you think that we're going to see a correction then in the valuations or of these tokens in the near future from a macro standpoint?
Well, I just looked at Blockfolio and it looks like we saw a pretty big correction, right?
Yeah.
Ether was at 1,200, now it's at 4 and change. Practically everybody took a 66% hit. What you're going to see is, I don't think a correction is accurate because we don't have enough pooled liquidity to be able to get, proper price discovery. Correct. And even if we did, we don't seem to have the expertise to be able to value anything. We still have people saying that, the valuation of X token is its price times tokens outstanding.
Right, right.
It's just not that simple.
Yeah.
It's not that easy. Especially when nobody can even define what outstanding is. It means one thing on CoinMarketCap, one thing somewhere else. If you go to Reddit and type in Veritasium as a search, Veritasium is known as a scam, fraud. Okay. And they think that other entities are not scams and frauds because they have a pretty website and a white paper.
Oh, by the way, I love the new website. I wish you would have had that up when you had the ICO, because I would have purchased then.
we raised more than enough capital from or prepaid revenues from the token offering. So it did its job.
Yeah.
As a business person, I'm not going to put up a fancy storefront sign before I have anything to sell. It's just not the regular business. So Veritasium as a scam had the earliest patent applications for the capital markets application of blockchain technology filed in 5 of the major jurisdictions around the world, a functional beta, okay, and a diverse management team. I'm not a developer at all. I'm a financial macro guy. I have a strong technological bent. You can call me a technologist, but I'm not. I built up a team around it. After building up the team, I put a website up and, released the beta. Now, look at how fast and how far we're moving compared to all the non-scams with the fancy white papers in the websites.
Right.
Okay. Theoretically, once you go through Reddit and ridicule everybody who called us a scam, what it did is demonstrate that you just don't know how to value a business or how to identify a business.
Right.
White papers are academic theses. They should have nothing to do with the business whatsoever. There's no reason to write a white paper if you're going to start a business. What you do, right, is something called a business plan.
Right.
Okay. But, let's not go through that, because then we're going to start getting all archaic and talk about money and revenues and margins and stuff like that. Yeah. It just doesn't belong in crypto speak, does it?
No.
That's a joke. I'm being sarcastic.
Right. They want to see the fancy stuff.
Yeah.
The websites and flashing lights. But hey, man, Reggie, I appreciate you coming on. Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss today, or you think we covered pretty much everything? I think we did.
We covered a lot. Let me just give a quick recap. Profits report out in a couple of hours, hopefully. The Vader, I gave you the link. You can start looking at that there. I don't think I'm going to have the chance to go over the Vader. I'm going to start pushing the Vader hard today, so I'll do it tomorrow. I'm still open to subcontractors, so if anybody wants to become the contractors, if anybody wants to test the Vader for us on a contractor basis, I will pay you off some, and you act as a beta tester for the Vader. Please contact me. I know a few people have done it for the Telegram group. I've been behind. I'm sorry. It happened during our trip to Dubai. Also, I will, and if the guys from Africa are listening, I'm going to get to your MOUs right after I get the Profits report out, before I do everything else. And once I get the MOUs down, I will probably announce. I have promised MENA, North African, South Asian media company, that I would give them an exclusive on it. But that was a while back. I may have to do it. I'll give you an exclusive interview with me for that publication if you're listening. But I will announce the entities I signed an MOU with, assuming that the risk component back says it's okay. And that's a lot for one day, if I could get it done in one day. Tomorrow, we're going to take the Vader, we're going to run it through its paces, okay? And you'll see it work. It's an amazing piece of work. As a matter of fact, Andrew didn't realize, now we have the take delivery assets, physical delivery of assets portion running live. So it's things I'm proud of.
All right. So Andrew and Reggie Middleton from Veritasium, I appreciate the time, and we look forward to more news coming from the Veritasium team. It's your boy Crypto Blood, Reggie Middleton, and we're out. Holla.
Okay.
If you want to see more videos and interviews like this from influential people in tech, finance, and sports, subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the bell to be alerted. And go a step further and join the YouTube membership area for early releases of videos like this. I'm out of here.